Well, hello, I'm Lone in Finland, this is EVE Online, and we have some shinies here. Let's just initiate some warp. So, as you can see, what I've got here is a lovely little one of the new ships. This is the Torrent, and just going through some of the quick stuff for it. So, this is a deep space transport. We have, under the transport ship bonuses, we have 5% bonus to the fleet hangar capacity, 4% to all shield resistances, and then the upwell hull or bonus gets you 10% bonus to ship infrastructure hull capacity and 25% bonus to missile damage. So it can throw missiles basically like a destroyer, I think. It's sort of coming in somewhere between like good frigate and low-end destroyer damage. I think right now, without any mods, I'm kicking out... Let me just check this. We are kicking out 200 DPS. So what I'd sort of expect is a mid-range there. As you can see, I'm sort of rigged for tankiness. But I do have a repper, basically because my idea for this thing is just transporting, but also hopping into these sites and just having a little bit of shootiness while I'm going. Obviously you've got a bit of a slower lock time, but for me this just breaks up when you're actually hauling, so I can just rip out. And I think actually if I split my missiles, I'm probably going to do a bit more like this. But then on top of all of that, we have, what else do we have here? We have a 90% reduction to the heavy missile, heavy assault missile and rapid light missile launcher CPU and power grid. So I've got rapid lights in here. +2 to warp core strength like any of the other DSTs. 100% bonuses to the benefits of overheating afterburners, micro warp drive, repair modules, resistance modules, etc, etc. So if you get attacked you can overheat and hopefully last for a little while. I'll just move that there so I can see what I'm doing. And I'll kick out 1, 2, 3. See how this goes. And then 90% reduction to the effective distance travelled for jump fatigue, and can link to the orbital skyhooks, which is just sort of nullsec stuffs. So that is something that's quite interesting in general. For me, now I'm not entirely sure. And I want to just check this while I'm looking, so I'm gonna sort of shoot through this to get a blank Torrent. But I'm pretty sure there might actually be a mistake in here. So 60,000 M3 for the infrastructure hold. Oh no, that might just be my head. So the infrastructure hold, you get 10% bonus, so 50%. For level 5, which is why I've got 90. So you've got a hell of an infrastructure hold. But then on top of that, we also have our lovely little standard sort of fleet hangar. So as you can see, I believe it's down here, fleet hangar is 37,000, which is lower than the rest of the DSTs, but obviously it's an add-on, because you still have that infrastructure hold there. And then you've got your standard cargo bay on board, which I can't remember what the standard is, but for me it's sort of 3,500 now. No, so 3,000. Yeah, that's the standard, so 3,000 cargo bay. And then you've got the bonuses for the other ones. So that's quite good. You've got the ability to throw missiles, you've got the ability to fit a decent tank to them. And because of the slot layout, you can sort of go more shield tank, or you can sort of rig for sort of armor or structure tanking, depending on which way you want to run it, or you can run all three if you're that way inclined. So you should be able to get some good EHP out of this, but it does have a good amount of CPU. And for me, the two interesting things are the infrastructure hold, because what you can actually hold in that in general is, I'll just pull this over a little bit so you can see on the screen. So you can hold colony reagents, upwell structures, structure rigs, structure modules, stand-up fighters, structure animal, quantum cores, orbital skyhooks, custom gantries, sovereignty structures, sovereignty upgrades, and then for everybody else that's not in nullsec, moon materials, fuel blocks, planetary commodities, and refined ice products. Now that last one's a weird one to me, because I would say if you're going to go refined ice products, you should also go minerals and just add that in there to be useful. But in general, not a big issue. And as you can see here, I am, although this is just a low level encounter in high sec, it's just not really touching my shield at all. So it is a really tanky ship. I know that I'm running 2 of the hardeners, but still, that is a good amount. Just a tip, if you are running deep space transports and you are doing it through high sec, don't fit any faction gear to them, because if people are scanning you, usually the scanners that they have set up will scan both cargo and your fit. They'll have 2 different scanners running at the same time. And if you're completely empty but you've got some shiny modules that might drop, like more than 1 shiny module, they might have a pop at you just for that module, because they get bored like everybody else does. So just a little bit of advice there. Let me just check. We don't have, I've got this over here. This is my other window on my overview. So nothing went from that. So we're just going to hop along to the next gate. And I'm just heading to drop this off at a station, because I'm going to use this as my main transport, bringing up from one of my, what I call my farming areas. This is a place where I do a lot of PI, and I used to do a lot of gas mining, and on top of that there is 3 corporations that have moon mining, but when they do their moon mining, they're always on at the same time, and I know what time they come on. So I can see obviously a couple of days in advance when they're rigging up their moons for mining, but they're only ever on for sort of 2-3 hours. And they clear out about 75% of the stuff, but then I can hop on after them, and it's quite a quiet time to do it, and just mine through other stuff if I'm online. So this is a sort of little harvesting area that I like to live around. And it is sort of close to my old stomping grounds from back in the day, which is sort of why I've set up down here in the south, because we are quite far down in the south. But yep, so that's where this ship is going to. We are, yep, all the way down, sort of around about here in Derelict. But with that being said, as I initiate our next jump, the other thing that I've got to have a look at, if we look into our fleet hangar, is the other one. So I'm just going to jump ahead, get docked up in the station, and we're going to have a look at Deluge, which is the blockade runner out of the new ships. And have a spy at that. I don't have a freighter yet, because my god, it takes a while for them to build. But I will have a freighter at some point, because that was something that I very much was curious about. I've got something that I thought I'd started. But yeah, let's jump ahead. So we are just coming into the next into the station, and I just wanted to show off some of this stuff, because there is some interesting lighting effects and stuff going on. And obviously we always get these sort of, in the newer ships we get these lovely animations. So we've got these sections coming out, which is kind of interesting. Not quite sure why, but that's kind of random. And then there's this weird sort of glow in the middle that disappears when you go to warp. But in general, I think this is like a really nice looking ship. Very squared, very blocky, but I do enjoy it. And then if I just sort of tilt down to get a little bit of light on it, because I did go and play with this because I was curious. So we also have the new custom skins, so you can build your own skin, which I think is looking very smart. I quite like black and white together. When I was growing up, obviously I'm from Scotland, and schools around about Scotland will have school uniforms. But there was a particular school up north, not near me, but I was sort of going past it at one point, and what had actually the school had done was to set a school uniform that was just black and white. You were not allowed labels, branding, no logos or anything like that, but you could have anything that was black and white. So the kids just went all out, customized all the clothes, different people had different things, and it was one of the coolest looking school uniforms I have ever seen. And that being said, I don't think I've ever seen a school uniform that I've thought of as cool before, but this one really looked nice, and I just quite like that taste. Which is actually one of the skins that I bought. The only skin I bought that was actually expensive was the one for the Paladin, which is the white. So this should be something interesting. It does cost ISK. I might as well go through that while I'm here. So if I just go there, bring up the skinny thing. So what you normally do if you're going to do this, you go into the Paragon hub. You can go in through your Eve menu. They've got Paragon services and then the ship skinner, which gets you to the exact same place. You can go through it in personalization as well, and then in here you can see other skins that people are selling for either ISK or plex, or you can just make your own. Now when you're making your own, say for instance if I take the ship that I'm in, you've got create new design. You can go to hull selection and change it to another ship, although I can actually find the logo for the new Upwell ones. Maybe I'm missing it and it's there somewhere. Or Mordu, Servant Sisters. Yep. Can't find these ones. However, if you do just type it in, it will show up as well. So you've got all of the ships. You can pick a ship. Actually, let's... If I just go for the Paladin, because I fly this an awful lot at the moment. So you pick your ship, and then you've got essentially 4 colours that you can change. And you've got these colours, what you have on the market, you can buy these off the market, and you will get them in, if we just go to, that should show all of them. But there you go, so you've got a few different groups and things for the colours, and this is your sort of base skin. It will show you what you've got. You can get them in limited or unlimited, so as you can see here in mine I've got several colours that were unlimited. I don't think I got any of these were like sort of gifts that I picked up, I think, or maybe these are just the standard ones you get, I'm not entirely sure. The black that is on the ship that I am currently flying, this sort of black was one of the ones that I had sort of been given through an opening of a box or something like that. But what you can do is you can just go through, click on the colours, and then sort of that'll just show you where the other stuff is. So you can go for that, go for, do we have a black? Dark Abyss Gloss. And then you have another section where you can go through these little highlighting bits. I'll put them in green just so you can see where they are. And then the bottom one is this text slot. So the colour that I had went in this section as well. I didn't use it, but I think this is just the stuff underneath. So you'll have a different set of colours for those. And as you can see down here where it's got the total cost, the more you add to it, the more plex it charges you. So if you just want to do something basic, say for instance you just want to leave the basic thing, you can see that goes down to 40 plex. If you were to take out this one, it would be 30 plex. So it adds up or subtracts depending on what you're doing it. And then also in here we have these sort of gradient patterns and things, and with these patterns, one of the things that you can do is you can sort of shift the colours and the framing of it. So for instance, that's a fading one, you can see it sort of fading in a little bit there, but you can also, as you can see, sort of rotate and scale things depending on what you want, and you can change sort of offsets like side to side, or different sort of orientations for these as well. So just something that you can do to add a little bit more bling or customization. It costs you a bit of plex, it changes depending on what you're doing, as you see if I take that out there. And then when you hit create skin, it'll ask you for a name. Just for the moment, I'll shove that there. And then that's where you'll pay your plex, but you also need these materials. Now, I was given these materials in some of the unlocks, so most people should have them if you had signed on at that point, but you can buy them off the market and they're not that expensive. And this obviously goes to the different parts of it sort of go align with what things you've added on. So this will give you your sort of price and materials. Once you start sequencing, then it will take about 24 hours for one skin. I think that's what it took for me. And then if we have a look in the skills here, we have the sequencing skills as well. So the first one is a basic induction. You can do it without getting any of the skills, but these sort of reduce time a little bit. However, it didn't work for me because I trained these skills after it started but before it ended, and it didn't affect it. So an existing job doesn't speed up once you start training the skills. But I just did this so that I could run the two things together last night. Now they are all sorted and all on. So those are the skills that can speed things up, or if you want to sort of do this for trying to sell them, make them shiny and stuff like this. Give us a link down below if you just randomly want those, the ones that I'm sort of doing. I'm pretty much going to do black and white skins for all of my ships, but it'll take a while because obviously it's plex and money and stuff like that, and at the moment I don't have much. But yeah, so that's where my shiny cover went to. That's one of the new features that's going on. Yeah, don't care about saving that one just yet. So let's get into the station and get the other one assembled. So here we are in the station, and all I'm going to do is go to the item hanger. There's a daft amount of stuff in here, and we're going to throw all of the stuff in here, grab the Deluge, assemble it. Where are we at? Oh, shiny effect. So this is the Deluge. Nice and simple. Little baby's version of the original. So for the Deluge, we end up with, oh, let me just bring up the standard one first so that I'm getting the right information for everybody else in case you're not the same training as I've got. So your standard Deluge has an infrastructure bay that's 30,000, 4,000 for your standard cargo hold, and then we don't have any other cargo holds, I don't believe. Yep, so it's just the infrastructure hold in your main cargo hold for the Deluge, but again 4,000 is nothing to be sniffed at for for a blockade runner. Then on top of that we have the 5% to warp speed and warp acceleration, so a little bit go faster there. 20% reduction in cloaking devices CPU, which is very useful because what we're using, because we also have down somewhere heavy, there we go, can fit covert cloaking devices and covert sinusoidal field generators if you want to be portaling people in towards you. Then for the upwell hauler bonuses, we get that standard 10% to ship infrastructure hold capacity, so that should bring us up to 45,000 infrastructure, I think, for level 5, and 15% bonus to missile damage, so a little bit of smack back if somebody's attacking you. To be fair, if you're in one of these and you get attacked and you're on your own, you're gonna die. I don't see one of these making it out, but it does mean that you could run with the fight in some ways, and take a little bit of remote rep and stuff like that, so interesting pack tactics should be something not to be sniffed at. 90% reduction in the heavy missile, heavy assault missile and rapid light launchers, so you can put them on and have good bonuses with them. It can fit the covert ops, as we said. It's got cloak reaction delay reduced to 5 seconds, immune to all cargo scanners which, remember, that makes you a target in high sec. People will take a shot at you just for existing. I had somebody the other day in Jita that took a shot at me and just got absolutely wimped, and I don't know how it happened, but he didn't kill me in a one hit. I was completely empty, he wouldn't have gotten anything if he did, and I was all sort of T2 fitted, because all of my haulers, I don't go sort of into faction stuff with them. But that was really funny, because I was sat there, I hadn't turned my hardeners on, I thought I was closer to the dock than I was. This guy got a shot off and I was like, oh my god, because every alarm screaming. We're down to 10% hull, and then it docked. And the guy got wimped, so I immediately undocked and scooped all of the stuff from his tornado. I was just like, that was a funny one. I don't know how I survived, but I'm happy about it. And then you've got the standard sort of 90% reduction to distance travelled for jump fatigue and things like that, and can sort of deal with the orbital skyhook reagent silos. So, nice interesting stuff there. Oh, also, I should go through this as well. You've got 4 high power slots, so basically 3 missile slots and your cloak. You've got 4 medium and 2 low, and then 2 rig slots because it's T2. And 400 calibration. So, you can fit a couple of good rigs on there. If we go back for a second to the Torrent, because I didn't explain that one before. The Torrent actually has 3 low, 6 mids and 4 highs, and then you've got the standard calibration of 2s. So as you can see here, I've just rigged mine out for oomph, so that when this is active I've got about 131, and if I overheat we're going to 173. It's not much, but if I chug one of the daily boosters, it should bring me up to survive most attacks for a little while at least, but not a coordinated attack. So with that, let's get the Deluge built. So for the moment I'm just keeping the name standard to remind myself, because I'm weird like that. And yes, I did just leave the thing that I got into because I'm an absolute idiot. Back into the Deluge, open our ship fitting, and then fit ship. And we are all fit, nice and simple. And because I quite like what I made, here's the one that I made for this ship. So this is nice and simple, nice and easy. We have, oh, we are missing one thing because it doesn't load your guns for you for some weird reason. But there we go, I've got some missiles in just for shites and giggles. And this thing is very specific for me. It is one particular job I want to do with it, and that is to go and get some of my stuff. So I shall take this down and have a little bit of a spy at where my gear is. Now I need some rearranging here because I always have this in a specific setup when I'm doing this. I'll throw that off to the side. The reason I do this is because I use the F keys a lot when I'm using these specific ships. I use keys in general. I have a keyboard that has the extra macro keys on the side, and I set them sort of coded to be able to use the Alt and F, so that I've got the first and so I've got the F keys for the top row, but I've then got 5 keys for the second row as well. It's sort of 90 degrees, and it makes it nice and easy for me. And this system is dead. That's unusual. But this is us just whipping through. So a good little ship to go and pick up your planetary interaction and to shift about some of the stuff, and obviously very useful with the new thing that's coming on. But I'm seeing a couple of comments from the nullsec guys that are basically saying that they don't like the new changes. And it's like people aren't upgrading to the new stuff, because I thought there was a bit of a bonus for nullsec. If you upgraded faster, there was more of an incentive for it. So I'm kind of curious about that, as to whether there is something that is off-putting about it, or whether it's just that sort of resistance to change that we all sort of get from time to time. So from here, let me just get to a customs office. I've got somebody in system, but he's not somebody who comes from this system, so that's interesting. Nice and easy to cloak about. And then I'm pinging my default scanner, my directional scanner. It is the default scanner out here. So I'm just going to bring some viral agent across, transfer that. What is going on here? I made a funny mistake there, but okay. So just a little bit of agent. Then I don't know where your man is, and I can see most of the system, so just got to be a little bit careful, because he's either docked or he's a cloaky, but he's not lined with any of the ones that I know. That's a problem. Okay, let's just grab all of this stuff. Oof, that's a lot of stuff, but I can toss it in the infrastructure hub. And then we are going to warp to the next one. So having that amount of space, because at the moment I've just picked up sort of 3,500 worth of stuff, and it's, yeah, I'm nowhere near full, so this is good. And obviously with the blockade runner, this makes it very useful for this sort of thing. I'm still scanning, but I'm still not seeing you, man. So let's grab the last of my stuff. Yes, these, if you're seeing this, you will know that these are set up very badly, and I am aware of that. Expedited transfer to the... I can't expedite transfer, this doesn't have a launch pad. That is how badly set up this stuff is. Because I'm trying to refine some of it, but I don't want to refine all of it. So let's bounce. There is a weird sort of aircraft sound in the background for Eve at the moment, and it's completely confusing me. Right, again, I'm still scanning. I'm not seeing anybody. Let's check if anybody's here. Nobody's here. Let's go and check some of my stuffs. But yeah, so this is a new ship. It is looking quite nice. One of the other things I want to talk about, just in case you don't know about this, is we have our new sort of daily goals set up. Yep, these guys are not mining this week, because if they were going to, they would have been mining at the moment, I think. And nothing seems to be rigged. Oh, let's have a look at that quickly. Naughty, somebody reinforced them. It wasn't me, I wasn't here. Let's go and check the other one, see if that got reinforced. If it was an external group or not. But yeah, so the new daily goals have been sort of set up, and what's going on with the new daily goals is that you do your standard, these show up as normal, you get your things to do, but if you do 12 of them, you have this new sort of setup where each of your 12 days you will get a little bonus in the XP, but then on day 3 you will get Evermarks. I still have no idea what they do. You will get Skinner design elements on day 6. Day 9 you will get 5 plex. This is if you are in Omega. And then you'll get 150 skill points if you're in Omega. But you will also get the stuff from Alpha. So Alpha also get Eve marks. They also get Skinner stuff. They get 8 million ISK, and then they get 75,000. So you will get all of that if you're Omega. If you're Alpha, you'll just get the low number. But you will also get the 5,000 points, skill points, per day that you're doing this. So once you meet your objectives, you will get the 5,000 skill points. And today, I'd done these yesterday, and today I also got 5,000. So the way that it sort of works out, you will get 5,000 skill points a day, which is about an hour's time, and then you will, on top of that, get the sort of 225,000, I think it is. Is that right? Is my math right? Yeah, 225,000 between the two of these, as that sort of extra bonus, which is nothing to be sort of sniffed at. They have not been reinforced. So yeah, so you get a fair amount. You get more than you would get on the previous system. You're not getting login scans, so you can't do that thing where you activate all your accounts, throw them all open, and then don't log into your actual players, just collect your daily stuff. So that's sort of out the window. But you are getting more skill points for it, so if you're training, this is definitely a help. And most of the stuff, as you can see there, has been fairly easy. And I particularly like this earn 50 LP for any corporation, because it means that you could run a mission, or you could, if you're engaged in faction warfare, you could just do something in faction warfare. It's not a high amount, so even if you're not somebody who particularly enjoys mission running or anything like that, you could just run a level 1 mission and absolutely obliterate it. And then you've got the standard things for scanning. Obviously these are different every day, as I said, but so for instance, the ones I got today, I got 2 scans, so I just needed to scan 5 signatures and I got the daily goal. And before, I actually got a 50 LP, and then I think it was, there was 2 that were similar one other day as well. I think it was destroy enemy or something like that, destroy 25 NPCs. So I basically did one site, one of the higher rated sites in HiSec, and that got me my stuff. So nice and simple little things, a few different choices for this, but I think that's quite an interesting, quite a good thing to put in. And with that, I shall jump back this way, because I've got somebody I dislike. Why do I dislike them? Oh, because of Domination Guild. That would be why. Naughty people. So yeah, this ship for me now lives here because it is just basically for going through my PI and the systems around about. I'm going to change it up fairly soon because there's some other stuff I want to make, and those ones that you saw that didn't have the launch pads they're specific because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to collect some stuff, but I can't do it all at the one time. So the idea was to fill an entire container with some PI and then change the system around to generate the second amount of PI, and then use that to manufacture one of the higher level things, which should give us an interesting profit. But I'm not good at this stuff. I'm still kind of learning this higher end stuff, but I guess it's not a problem showing this here. So for me, I've also got in HiSec, I produce plastics, super tensile plastics, test cultures, nanites, and then one of the ones that I produce in LowSec, which is it this? Yeah. Nope. Something that I produced there. I think it's that one that produces viral agents. And the reason for these ones specifically is because of what you can make from them. So you get the life support backup units for building battleships, and the auto integrity preservation thingamajigs for battleships. So these you can see require super tensile plastics and nanites, and then carbon fibre from reaction. And these ones require the test cultures and the viral agents. So that's some of the stuff that I just make on standard. I don't really sell it, I just keep it in stock for myself when I'm building stuff. So yeah, randomness, sort of showing what you can do with it. But yeah, I hope you found that interesting. I think these ships are kind of shiny. I'm quite liking this because I know some people were complaining about the whole skin thing, but for me this is actually a lot cheaper than most of the previous skins. So I don't really have a big issue with it. And in general I think it's kind of interesting because instead of having, in my opinion, I've got at least one ship here that should be like this. Yeah, here's a good example. If we go into the skiff, the way that the skins were working before, you had like a whole load of skiff of sort of colourings that were pretty much the same. So you had a few different things, and then you would get maybe, where is it? Like the Load Strike. I really like the Load Strike ones. I've got a few of them. But then the rest of them are all kind of samey. And then you would have a few that were sort of thrown out there, the rock breakers and the radioactive stuff. But when you compare that to, I think I'll do it just now, when you compare that to going into the sequence skins and going, right, I want to make this myself, what can I change about this? I'd like, say for instance, if you're going to go blue on the top, random greens, throw in some red, put some matte black on there, and then for instance take one of the shifty ones, and sort of do it this way where you can change the stuff as you please. I still think that's a little bit better because you can add sort of more colours, do a bit more of your own touch and things like that. And this comes out, like putting all of these elements in would come out at 90, as opposed to if we go into the actual NES, the skins were selling for sort of 200 or so. If we go for ship skins, where's the industrials? And these ones are 110 just for those, and I believe the Load Strike ones, when they were going, you can sort of see they were higher there, but the Load Strike ones were 180 to 250 each. So being able to choose your own colours, I think that's a little bit better. Jesus, 250 for that? I got one off of the market for nice and cheap, so. But that's it. So instead of sort of putting in 25 quid or something to make a skin, it's a little bit less, and you can, if you want to limit it, or you just want to do like I'm sort of doing, where you're just sort of bringing in your own ships and giving them all the same skin colour, because that's my sort of eventual intention. But as you can see here, I've already got some ships that match, so that's sort of my idea on it, is skin all of my ships alike. But we'll see what happens. So I hope that was interesting. A little bit of a breakdown of those ships and some of the other things that were going on as well. So again, if you've got comments and things like that, please put it down below. It's always nice to hear stuff, and especially if you're in nullsec and stuff like that. I really want to hear your opinions. Please don't get the impression that I'm sort of against it, because one of the comments earlier, somebody had said about, they had sort of taken what I had said about the developers focusing on nullsec, and they were saying, well, the developers don't love nullsec because they've not been doing stuff. I was like, no, I'm not saying that they love it. I was just saying that a lot of the focus goes there. It's a little bit of a difference, but kind of a key difference. But I quite like getting that feedback, and especially from groups like, for instance, wormholers and nullsec guys and lowsec guys at the moment, who are because you're sort of doing stuff that's different to what I'm doing, and I like hearing about it and seeing about it. And if you've got suggestions, I'm always willing to hear those, because I'm very interested in that stuff. The only reason I'm not in nullsec at the moment is because of time commitments, because otherwise I love flying capitals. I really like flying capitals. I used to love getting into fights with my capitals. Well, two of the alts that I used to have, they were in cap swarm for quite some time, and I really enjoyed the big cap fights and the remote repping and stuff like that. But I also quite like just mining with a rock wheel, so it's stuff like that that I find quite interesting. Now, if you're a newer player and you're watching this, or you're somebody who's looking at getting into it, especially because a couple of the miners made some comments on previous videos about having a lot of difficulty. Right now in Heck, if you go in almost any evening in Heck, there's a group of miners that are sort of going through the belts there, and they are doing it in a big enough community and putting active boosts out to protect each other, that it's a really good thing if you're getting started and you just want to sort of go in that easy way for mining. There's a lot of community around about it, and then those corporations, because there's not just one corporation, there's a few different. Those corporations are also doing other things. So if you're a new player, get yourself down to Heck and get chatting in local chat, and you'll meet a lot of nice people down there, because it's quite a lot of community. These guys just randomly invited me in the other day because I just turned up at the belt to do my dailies. So they invited us in, they gave us boosts, they were offering us stuff, and then one of the guys realised that I was the oldest player in the group, and they're like, oh okay. So I thought I'd give them a little bit of a shout out, because that was particularly kind, and it's nice to see that sort of behaviour in sort of contrast to what we normally talk about with the pirates and the ganking and stuff like that. There are nice groups in EVE, a lot of nice groups in EVE, and that would be a good way to get started for some people. So Heck, H-E-K, that's one of the sort of lower trade hubs, but very good access to faction warfare, 2 jumps away from Langisi, which is very good for mission running, Sisters of Eve level 4 missions specifically, and just a good sort of general place to be. The Nakugard, the system over, is good for ice mining, so it's a good sort of place for a community hub, and because it's that far away from Jita, it's a little bit quieter when it comes to things like that. So you're never safe anywhere in high sec, but this is a good place to sort of meet and chat and stuff like that. So I thought I'd put that into the video as well. So thanks for watching. If you would very much put comments in below, because I really do enjoy them. They're a little cheer in my day. And thank you, and again thank you to my patron, because I have a patron. I've not said the name because I don't know if that's acceptable, so if you do happen to do any of that stuff and you want mentioned, put it in. I am more than happy to mention you. I think that's awesome. But I just, yeah, a little bit of affirmation. That was very nice. So thank you very much. Hope to see you next time. Bye.